Captain Hajun Park stood at the window of his merchant ship, the morning calm. The stars stretched endlessly before him, tiny dots of light in the dark space. His ship was carrying supplies to the human colonies near Alpha Centauri, the closest star system to Earth. It was supposed to be a normal delivery run, just like the hundreds he had done before. The morning calm was not a fancy ship. Its gray metal walls had scratches from years of use, and some of the chairs in the crew area were patched with tape. But Hojun loved this ship. It had been his home for the past 7 years, ever since he had saved enough money to buy it. The ship's engines hummed softly, a sound that always made him feel calm. "Captain, you should see this," called Du Hyun, the ship's sensor operator. Du Hyun was young, only 25 years old, with short black hair and wide eyes that were now fixed on his screen. "There's something strange showing up on our scans." Hajun walked over to Du Hyun's station. The screen showed several large objects moving through space, heading toward the Beta Centauri mining colony. These objects were unlike anything Hajun had seen before. They looked like giant crystals, catching and reflecting the light of nearby stars. "Those aren't human ships," Hajun said quietly. His heart started beating faster. In all his years of space travel, he had never seen alien life. Humans had spread to many star systems, but they had never met other intelligent beings. Until now. The crystal ships moved with grace, their surfaces shining with rainbow colors. There were 5 of them, each bigger than the largest human warship. Hajun watched as they approached the mining colony, which was built on a small rocky planet called Beta Centauri IV. "Should we contact them?" asked my son, the communications officer. She sat at her station, her long hair tied back neatly, her fingers hovering over the controls. Hajun thought for a moment. "No," he decided. "Let's wait and see what they do. Move us behind that ice moon. We can watch from there." The morning calm's pilot, Jin Ho, carefully guided their ship behind one of the system's many ice moons. From here, they could see everything without being seen. The crew watched in silence as the crystal ships got closer to the mining colony. Suddenly, one of the alien ships sent out a message. It filled all their communication channels. The message was strange, made up of musical sounds and light patterns. After a few minutes, the colony's computers translated it. "We are the Nexari," the message said. "We come in peace and wish to trade. We bring great knowledge and technology." Hajun watched as the colony sent back a friendly response. The colony's governor, a woman named Sunhai, appeared on the video channel. "We welcome you," she said, smiling. "This is a historic day for both our peoples." But something felt wrong to Hajun. The crystal ships had spread out around the colony in a way that reminded him of military formations. He had served in Earth's Space Force before becoming a merchant, and he recognized battle tactics when he saw them. "Start recording everything," he told my son. "Send a continuous feed back to Earth Command." Just then, the crystal ships changed. Their rainbow surfaces became dark, and parts of them opened up like deadly flowers. Hajun's eyes widened as he realized what was happening. "They're weapon ports," he whispered. Before anyone could react, the crystal ships fired. Beams of intense light shot out, cutting through the colony's buildings like they were made of paper. The colony's shields, designed to protect against space rocks and radiation, did nothing to stop these weapons. "No," my son cried out. On their screens, they could see people running, trying to reach emergency shelters. The colony's small defense ships tried to fight back, but their weapons couldn't damage the crystal hulls of the Nexari ships. Hajun wanted to help, but he knew his merchant ship would be destroyed in seconds if they tried to fight. They had no weapons, and their shields were even weaker than the colony's. The best thing they could do was keep recording and make sure Earth knew what had happened. The attack lasted 20 minutes. When it was over, the mining colony was in ruins. Most of the buildings were destroyed or burning. The defense ships were gone. The Nexari ships hung in space above the destruction they had caused. They sent another message, this time in perfect human language. This is a demonstration. Your species will submit to the Nexeri Empire, or all your colonies will meet the same fate. You have 1 Earth month to surrender. Hejun's hands tightened into fists as he watched the crystal ships leave. The crew of the Morning Calm sat in shocked silence. The screen showed them the extent of the damage. The colony's distress beacon was blinking, sending out calls for help that would take hours to reach Earth. "Captain," Jin-Ho said, his voice shaking, "what do we do now?" Hejun looked at his crew. Do-hyun was pale, his eyes still fixed on the sensor readings. My son had tears running down her face as she managed the communication systems. Jin-Ho gripped the pilot's controls so hard his knuckles were white. "We make sure this recording gets to Earth," Hejun said firmly. "And we look for survivors. The Nexeri think we're weak, that we'll give up. They're wrong. I've seen what humans can do when we're threatened. Earth won't surrender. We'll fight back." He turned to my son. "Send everything we recorded through the quantum channels. Mark it as highest priority." These special communication channels could send messages instantly across any distance, but they were usually reserved for emergencies. This definitely counted as an emergency. "Done," my son said after a few minutes. "Earth Command confirms they received the data." "Good. Now, Jin-Ho, take us to the colony. Carefully. There might be survivors who need help." As the Morning Calm moved out from behind the ice moon, Hejun thought about what would happen next. He knew Earth would respond to this attack. The human fleet would come, bringing ships built for war, not trade. The Nexeri thought they had shown their power, but they had made a terrible mistake. They had only seen human merchants and miners, civilian ships and colonies. They hadn't faced humanity's warships yet. They didn't know about the advanced weapons Earth had developed, powerful shields, the highly trained crews. The Nexeri thought they were declaring their dominance, but really they were starting a war they couldn't win. Hejun remembered an old saying from his military days. "The most dangerous enemy is the one you underestimate." The Nexeri had just underestimated all of humanity. As they approached the ruined colony, Hejun's ship picked up emergency signals from several survival shelters. There were people still alive down there, waiting for rescue. He sent a message to the survivors. "This is Captain Hejun Park of the merchant vessel Morning Calm. Help is coming. Sit tight. And remember, those aliens think they've won, but they don't know humans very well. Soon, they'll learn what happens when you attack our people. Sit tight. Human warships are coming." The crew of the Morning Calm began rescue operations, their hearts heavy with what they had seen but their spirits determined. They had witnessed the start of a war, but they had also seen the beginning of humanity's response. The Nexeri would learn, just like Hejun had said, that humans were not easy prey. They were survivors, fighters, and they protected their own. In the darkness of space, the Morning Calm's engines hummed as they worked to save their fellow humans. And far away on Earth, alarm bells were already ringing, and humanity's warships were preparing for battle. The real demonstration of power was yet to come. Admiral Song Mei-Kang watched the recording from the Morning Calm for the 3rd time. The images of the Nexeri attack made her blood boil, but her face stayed calm. She stood on the bridge of Earth's newest warship, the UES Dauntless, her dark uniform neat and pressed. The ship's neural interface, a small silver disc at the base of her neck, connected her directly to the ship's systems. The Dauntless was nothing like Captain Hejun's merchant vessel. It was built for war, with thick armor plates and powerful weapons hidden beneath its dark surface. The bridge crew worked at their stations, each wearing their own neural interfaces that let them control the ship's systems with just their thoughts. "Play it again," Song Mai ordered. "Focus on their weapon systems." Lieutenant Ta-Won Kim, the weapons officer, nodded. He was young but skilled, with steady hands and sharp eyes. The video showed the crystal ships firing their light beams at the colony. "Look here," Ta-Won said. pointing to his screen. Their weapons take 3 seconds to charge before firing, and see how their shields flicker just before they shoot. That's a weakness we can use. Songme smiled slightly. This was why she had chosen Tadwan for her crew. He didn't just see the destruction in the recording. He saw patterns they could use to fight back. Jae-yun Cho, the communications officer, spoke up from her station. "Admiral, we're receiving updates from our scout ships. The Nexeri have attacked 2 more colonies in the past week. Small ones, like Beta Centauri IV. They're testing us." Songme walked to the front of the bridge, where a large window showed the space around them. 20 human warships floated nearby, hidden from normal sensors by their cloaking systems. Each ship carried weapons more powerful than anything the Nexeri had shown so far. "They think we're weak," Songme said to her crew. "They see our merchant ships and colonies and think that's all we have. They don't know about ships like the Dauntless. They don't know that humans have been preparing for war in space for over 100 years." The neural interface hummed as Songme checked the status of her fleet. Each ship was ready, their crews trained and eager. They had been practicing combat maneuvers for days, preparing for the battle everyone knew was coming. "Admiral," Jae-yun called out, her voice urgent. Long-range sensors detect Nexeri ships entering the Proxima system. 5 crystal ships, same as before. They're heading toward the research station. Songme's eyes narrowed. The Proxima research station was bigger than the mining colonies the Nexeri had attacked before. Over 3,000 people lived there, studying the nearby stars and planets. "They're getting bolder," she said. "They think we can't stop them." She turned to face her crew. "It's time to show them how wrong they are. Send the order to the fleet. We're moving out." The bridge came alive with activity. Jae-yun sent encoded messages to the other ships, while Taiwan ran final checks on the weapon systems. The ship's engines hummed louder as they prepared to jump through space. "Remember your training," Songme told her crew. "The Nexeri aren't invincible. Their ships are beautiful, but beauty isn't the same as strength. We've spent generations building our fleet, developing our technology. Today, we show them what humanity can do." The neural interface filled Songme's mind with data as the fleet prepared to jump. She could feel every system on her ship, could sense the readiness of her crew. The Dauntless was more than just metal and engines. It was an extension of her will, responding to her thoughts as quickly as her own body. "All ships report ready, Admiral," Jae-yun said. Songme nodded. "Begin jump sequence. We'll arrive just before the Nexeri reach the research station." She turned to Tadwan. "The moment we arrive, I want targeting solutions for all 5 crystal ships. They've had their fun attacking helpless colonies. Let's see how they handle real warships." The space around the fleet began to twist as the jump drives powered up. Songme thought about all the people who had died in the Nexeri attacks, about the survivors who were even now rebuilding their homes. The Nexeri had started this war thinking it would be easy. They were about to learn just how wrong they were. "Jump drives at full power," reported the engineering officer, Minho. He sat at his station, his fingers dancing over the controls as he managed the enormous energy flowing through the ship. Songme took a deep breath. "Execute jump." The fleet vanished in flashes of light, tearing holes in space itself to travel vast distances in seconds. As they jumped, Songme remembered something her old commander had told her years ago. "Space is vast and empty, but humans fill it with courage and determination. Never let anyone tell you we don't belong among the stars." The Nexeri were about to learn that humans didn't just belong among the stars. They were ready to fight for their place there. Songme's fleet would teach them that lesson with fire and thunder. Seconds later, the fleet reappeared near the Proxima research station. The neural interface showed Songme everything. The 5 crystal ships approaching the station, the scared people inside preparing for an attack, and her own ships, still hidden by their cloaking devices. "Battle stations," she ordered, her voice calm but firm. Warning lights flashed throughout the ship as crews rushed to their positions. In the weapons room, Massive railguns charged up, ready to fire special rounds that could pierce even crystal hulls. Enemy ships in range, Ta-1 reported. Targeting solutions ready. Song Mai stood straight, her hands clasped behind her back. This was the moment that would change everything. The Nexeri thought they were the hunters, but they were about to become the hunted. Send a message to the research station, she told Jia-yun. Tell them. Sit tight. Help has arrived. Then she gave the order that would start humanity's first space battle. All ships, decloak, and prepare to fire. Let's show these Nexeri what happens when they threaten human lives. The space around the crystal ships suddenly filled with human warships, appearing like ghosts as their cloaking devices turned off. The Nexeri ships froze, caught completely by surprise. They had come expecting to find another helpless colony. Instead, they had found humanity's teeth. Song Mai allowed herself a small smile as she gave her next order. Open fire. The battle for humanity's place among the stars was about to begin, and Admiral Song Mai Kang was ready to make sure it was a battle the Nexeri would never forget. Space battles were always silent. No one could hear explosions in the empty vacuum of space. But aboard the UES Dauntless, Admiral Song Mai Kang could feel every shot her ship fired through the neural interface. The massive railguns sent vibrations through the entire ship as they launched tungsten rounds at nearly the speed of light. The Nexeri ships tried to dodge, their crystal hulls gleaming as they moved. But Lieutenant Ta-1's targeting computers were too fast, too accurate. The first volley of shots struck the nearest crystal ship. Its beautiful surface cracked like ice on a pond, spider web patterns spreading from the point of impact. Direct hits on Target 1. Ta-1 reported, his fingers moving quickly over his control panel. Their shields are failing. The Nexeri ships were now trying to fight back. They'd fired their light beam weapons, but the human ships were ready. The Dauntless's shields flared bright blue as they absorbed the enemy fire. Shields holding at 92%, called out Minho from his engineering station. Their weapons aren't as strong as we thought. Song Mai watched through the neural interface as her fleet moved into attack formation. 20 human warships against 5 Nexeri vessels. The space around them lit up with weapons fire. Human railgun shots left trails of ionized air, while Nexeri energy beams created beautiful but deadly patterns of light. Admiral, Jia-yun said from communications, I'm picking up Nexeri transmissions. They're calling for help. Should I try to decode them? Yes, Song Mai ordered. Let's hear what they're saying. Jia-yun worked quickly with her computers. Soon, the bridge crew could hear the Nexeri communications, translated into human language. The alien voices sounded musical, but there was fear in their tones. This is impossible. Their weapons are penetrating our crystal hulls. How did they hide so many warships? Our scouts reported no military presence in this sector. Request immediate reinforcements. These humans have technology we didn't know about. Song Mai allowed herself a small smile. The Nexeri were learning their first lesson about humanity. Never judge a species only by its civilian ships. Another volley of railgun fire tore through space. This time, 3 human ships concentrated their fire on a single Nexeri vessel. The crystal ship's shields collapsed under the assault. Moments later, its beautiful hull shattered completely, breaking apart into thousands of glittering pieces. First enemy ship destroyed, Ta-1 announced. The bridge crew cheered, but Song Mai kept her focus on the battle. Target the next ship, she ordered. Don't let them regroup. The remaining Nexeri ships tried to form a defensive circle. Their light beam weapons fired continuously now, searching for weak spots in the human shields. But the Dauntless and its sister ships had been built to withstand much worse. Through the neural interface, Song Mai could see everything happening in the battle. She watched as human ships executed complex maneuvers, moving in patterns they had practiced for years. The Nexeri tried to predict their movements, but human ships kept appearing where they weren't expected. They're trying to escape, Jia-yun reported. Their engines are powering up for a space jump. Not today. Song Mai said firmly. She sent commands through the neural interface, and her fleet responded instantly. Human ships moved to surround the Nexari vessels, cutting off their escape routes. The battle had lasted only 15 minutes, but the difference in preparation was clear. Human ships had trained for space combat since before they left Earth. The Nexari, used to easy victories against civilian targets, didn't know how to fight an enemy that could fight back. Another crystal ship broke apart under concentrated fire. Then another. The remaining 2 Nexari vessels tried desperately to break through the human blockade, but there was nowhere to go. Admiral Jai Yun called out, "The Nexari commander is sending a message. They're trying to surrender." Song Mai considered this for a moment. Part of her wanted to destroy the remaining ships, to make the Nexari pay for every human life they had taken. But that wasn't the human way. They were better than that. "Accept their surrender," she ordered, "but keep weapons locked on them. If they try anything, destroy them immediately." The neural interface hummed as Song Mai opened a channel to the Nexari ships. She spoke clearly, making sure they could hear the strength in her voice. "This is Admiral Song Mai Kang of the United Earth Fleet. Your surrender is accepted. Power down your weapons and prepare to be boarded." The crystal ships slowly dimmed their lights, their weapons powering down. Human boarding ships moved in, carrying teams of Marines in heavy space armor. The Nexari would be taken prisoner, and their ships would be studied. Everything humans learned would help them fight the battles to come. Song Mai looked around her bridge. Her crew was tired but proud. They had just won humanity's first space battle, destroying 3 enemy ships and capturing 2 more. More importantly, they had shown the Nexari that humans were not easy targets. "Send word to Earth Command," she told Jai Yun. "Tell them, first engagement successful. Enemy forces defeated. No human casualties." She paused, then added, "And send a message to all human colonies in this sector. Tell them they're safe now. Tell them their warships have arrived." The neural interface filled her mind with damage reports and status updates. The Dauntless had performed perfectly, its systems working just as they were designed to. The other ships in her fleet reported similar success. Human technology, built over generations of preparation for this very day, had proved its worth. Min Ho spoke up from his engineering station. "Admiral, you should see this. We're analyzing the captured Nexari ships. Their technology. It's not as advanced as we thought. They just look impressive. All that crystal is actually their weakness. It's beautiful but brittle. Our ships are stronger, built for real combat, not just for show." Song Mai nodded. The Nexari had made a common mistake. They had chosen beauty over function, impressive displays over real strength. Humans had learned long ago that in space, survival mattered more than appearance. As her crews secured the captured ships and treated the Nexari prisoners, Song Mai thought about what would happen next. This battle would send a message throughout space. The Nexari would learn that their earlier victories had been against Earth's merchants and miners, not its warriors. They would learn that humans had been preparing for war in space for over a century, building ships and weapons in secret, training crews, and developing technology. Most importantly, they would learn what Captain Hejun had tried to tell them. When someone threatens human colonies, human warships come, and when human warships arrive, everything changes. The stars shone silently around them as the fleet secured their victory. The research station was safe, its people cheering and crying with relief. And in the wreckage of 3 crystal ships, the remains of Nexari pride floated like stardust, a warning to any who would threaten humanity again. 1 month after the battle at Proxima Station, Deputy Commander Young Ho Lee stood in the observation room of the captured Nexari flagship. The crystal walls around him still sparkled, but now they were marked with battle damage and covered in human scanning equipment. Scientists and engineers moved through the ship, studying every piece of Nexari technology they could find. Young Ho watched through the large observation window as Earth came into view. The blue planet looked peaceful from space, but he knew it was busy with activity. Shipyards that had been hidden under the oceans were now working openly, building more warships. Training centers were filled with new recruits. Humanity was preparing for a longer war. "Quite a view, isn't it?" Admiral Song Mei Kang said as she entered the room. She had been busy in the weeks since their victory, meeting with Earth's leaders and planning their next moves. "How are the prisoners doing?" "They're cooperating," Yum-Ho replied. "The Nexeri seemed surprised by how we're treating them. They expected to be killed or tortured. Instead, we're giving them proper food and medical care. It's confusing them." Song Mei nodded. "They don't understand humans very well. They thought we were weak because we were kind to others. They're learning that kindness and strength can exist together." The neural interfaces they both wore hummed softly as data flowed through them. Young-Ho could see the status of every ship in Earth's growing fleet, could track the movements of scout ships watching for more Nexeri attacks. So far, the aliens have been quiet since their defeat. "The translation team made a breakthrough," Young-Ho said, pulling up a report on his data screen. "They've decoded more of the Nexeri language. It turns out those first ships weren't just random attackers. They were testing us. The Nexeri Empire has done this before to other species." Song Mei's expression hardened. "Tell me more." "The Nexeri find developing civilizations and attack their outer colonies. If the species surrenders, they become slaves. If they fight back but lose, they're destroyed completely. The Nexeri have done this 7 times before. But they've never met humans before," Song Mei said. She walked to the window, looking down at Earth. "They didn't expect us to have better technology. They didn't know we've been preparing for war in space since we first left our planet." Young-Ho brought up more information on his screen. "The Nexeri prisoners say their empire is in chaos now. Our victory scared them. None of their previous victims ever destroyed their ships or captured their crews. They thought their crystal technology made them unbeatable." A group of engineers walked past, carrying pieces of crystal hull for study. Humans had already learned a lot from the captured ships. The crystal technology was impressive, but it had weaknesses that human scientists were quickly learning to exploit. "Captain He Jun's ship arrived at Earth this morning," Song Mei said, changing the subject. "The morning calm finished helping rebuild the Beta Centauri colony. He Jun says the colonists are already back at work, but this time they have 2 human warships protecting them." Young-Ho smiled. The merchant captain who had witnessed the first attack had become something of a hero. His recording of the Nexeri attack had helped Earth's forces prepare for the battle. Now his words were repeated throughout human space. "Sit tight, human warships are coming." "We found something interesting in the Nexeri computer systems," Young-Ho said. "Star maps showing their empire. It's big, over 300 star systems. But look at this." He brought up the map, showing it to Song Mei. The admiral studied the display. The Nexeri Empire was spread out, with many systems only lightly defended. They had never needed strong defenses before. No one had ever fought back successfully. "They're vulnerable," Song Mei said quietly. "All those systems, but their fleet isn't very large. They relied on fear and their crystal ships to control their territory. Now that we've shown their ships can be destroyed, other species are already starting to rebel," Young-Ho confirmed. "We've picked up transmissions from 3 different systems. When they heard about our victory, they started fighting back against their Nexeri rulers." Song Mei was quiet for a moment, thinking. Young-Ho could almost see the plans forming in her mind. Humanity had won its first battle, but there was more to do. The Nexeri Empire had hurt too many species, destroyed too many civilizations. "Send a message to Earth Command," she finally said. "Tell them I recommend launching Operation Freedom Light. We'll send ships to help the rebelling systems. Show them how to fight the Nexeri. Teach them to build better defenses." "The Nexeri won't expect that," Young-Ho said. "They think every species is like them, only caring about their own power. They don't understand why we would help others. That's why they'll lose in the end," Song Mei replied. They don't understand that real strength comes from working together, from helping others stand up for themselves. Humanity didn't become strong by conquering others. We became strong by preparing to protect ourselves and anyone else who needed help. Through the window, they could see ships moving in Earth orbit. Some were warships, their dark hulls marked with battle scars. Others were merchant vessels like the Morning Calm, carrying supplies to colonies and trading with friendly species. Together, they showed both sides of humanity: the ability to fight when needed, and the desire to help and trade in times of peace. The Nexeri Empire is about to learn another lesson about humans. Songmei said, "We don't just protect our own people. We help others protect themselves too." And soon, their empire will face not just human warships, but the warships of every species they try to enslave. Young Ho nodded, understanding. The Nexeri had attacked humanity thinking they would find an easy victory. Instead, they had awakened something much more dangerous than just another enemy. They had awakened humanity's desire to help others, to fight against bullies and tyrants. As they watched, another ship lifted off from Earth. This one carried human scientists and engineers, headed to one of the rebelling systems. They would teach the local species how to build better ships, how to create weapons that could break crystal hulls, how to stand up for themselves. "Sit tight, human warships are coming," Yumho said quietly. "But now it means something more. Now it's a promise not just to our own people, but to everyone who needs help fighting against those who would hurt them." The neural interface hummed with reports of more Nexeri ships gathering at the edge of their empire. There would be more battles to come, but humanity was ready. They had spent generations preparing for war in space, building their technology, training their people. Now they would use that strength not just to protect themselves, but to help others find their own strength. The stars stretched out before them, endless possibilities in the darkness of space. Humanity had proved itself in its first space battle. Now it would prove something even more important, that true strength meant helping others stand up for themselves. The Nexeri Empire had wanted to show humanity its place in the galaxy. Instead, humanity would show the galaxy that freedom and cooperation were stronger than any empire's crystal ships.